Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. And if you're doing the roll call, I'm also a member of the Huron Law Association. So I joined Jen here this morning. Thanks for your kind introduction. I'm speaking to you from Osgoode Hall in Toronto. Just give me a minute. I'm speaking to you from Osgoode Hall in Toronto. Toronto is a Mohawk word that means where there are trees standing in the water. It's located on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. I recognize the long history of all First Nations in Ontario and the Métis and Inuit peoples. Today, we've people participating from across the province, as was evident in the roll call this morning, and from across many First Nations territories. I thank all Indigenous people who lived and live in these lands for sharing them with us in peace. So I'm at my office. Just over my screen, I can look out and see the beautiful tulips and daffodils, and the trees are about to bloom. There's nothing quite like a spring day at Osgoode Hall after a long winter, especially after long pandemic winters. And if you haven't seen our gardens or our property, Osgoode Hall, lately, go on the Gazette because we're celebrating our 225th year this year. And we have a wonderful series on the Gazette that we're sharing through social media as well about Osgoode Hall. And it just reminds us about why this is such a special time of year and why this is such a special place. I wish you were with me at this special place and that we were meeting in person, as has happened at FOLA plenaries in the past, but not to be during my term. I hope that changes for you for your next plenary. So I want to start by thanking and congratulating Nathan, who I know is not here. I had the pleasure of attending his swearing in and seeing some FOLA representatives there and bringing greetings on behalf of the Law Society. I'm so pleased for his appointment and the important role that he's going to play in the justice system as a judge of the Ontario Court of Justice. Nathan and I met in March. He was only the president for a short period of time, but we did meet in person. And I've also, in that short period of time since his appointment, had the opportunity to meet in person with Doug and with members of the board. We met in Toronto last week and it was great. I'm very appreciative of the strong relationship that the Law Society has with FOLA. We work together to support the public, provide services for the public, and to support members when we collaborate and have a close working relationship. So I'm very appreciative of that. So this is my last time to address you as treasurer. I'm going to speak to you about some of the things that I've been doing as treasurer, issues that I believe we need to continue to take action on in pursuit of access to justice, wellness in the professions, and equality, diversity, and inclusion. So I said, as much as spring feels like a new beginning after 2 years in the pandemic, we have to acknowledge and be prepared for the long-term effects of the pandemic as we grapple with the long-term medical, legal, economic, and mental health challenges. Both society and the justice system will struggle with these impacts. As the justice system continues to modernize and adapt, we have to make sure that the most vulnerable members of our communities are not left behind. Access to justice is a fundamental principle of our justice system. Yet every day, people are faced with barriers to getting the help they need for many reasons. And for an increasing number of people, our justice system is simply beyond their reach. I'm pleased to see today that you have a panel on paralegal and public access to the resource centers. Throughout my term, I've stressed the important role that paralegals play in access to justice in Ontario. And I've also raised with FOLA and individual law associations that if resource centers for lawyers are more than just libraries, if they're resource centers that promote competence, a source of referrals, mentoring, and enable the building of support systems for lawyers, they could equally be that valuable resource for paralegals. I had hoped to join the panels this afternoon, but I don't think I'm going to be able. You may see me, but I have another meeting scheduled for that time as well. With respect to mental health and wellness, the pandemic has not spared legal professionals. We have seen an increase in usage of the member assistance program, over the years. So I'm going to say from 2019 to 2020, from about 6.8% to about 10.5% now. We know that legal professionals are at higher risk than the general population of experiencing career and life challenges, as well as struggles with mental illness and addictions. And that's why throughout my term as treasurer, I've championed the well-being of legal professionals and those entering the professions. Leadership on mental health and wellness in the professions is crucial to a properly functioning justice system. We need to continue to raise awareness, reduce the stigma, and build a framework of support. I am so pleased with all the work that FOLA has done on taking action on mental health. And I see that you've invited mental health advocate and new Law Society medalist, Beth Beattie, and others to join your mental health breakout workshops. I also note that this is the second FOLA that that the FOLA Plenary has invited Beth to participate in. Very, very impressive. Last week, Beth and I co-chaired the Law Society's Mental Health Summit. More than 6,000 licensees registered, demonstrating just how timely and relevant these conversations are. The summit was accredited for 4 hours of EDI professionalism. It's free. It's available. It will be available on demand in the Law Society store. Please share this information with your members. We were joined at the summit by keynote speaker, the Honorable Clément Gascon, the former retired Supreme Court of Canada Justice. He's been open about his own mental health challenges as a lawyer and a judge. And for those of you who joined us last year for the summit, you will remember that Chief Justice Strathy gave the opening keynote. He has recently released a paper entitled The Litigator and Mental Health. It's a groundbreaking, thoughtful, and compassionate paper on mental health in the legal professions. The paper is available on the Law Society Gazette. So if you Google Law Society of Ontario Gazette and Strathy, you'll get the paper. While it's entitled The Litigator in Mental Health, it does have application to anyone in the professions, including non-litigators. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's a must read and a must share with the members of your law associations. When leaders in the justice system speak openly and compassionately about mental health, it demonstrates that mental health struggles need not define a person. It also paves the way for understanding, support, and acceptance in the legal community and for the people we serve. So I thank you for doing your part to continue the conversation. Please also reinforce with your members that the Law Society is here to support them. Since we were together last fall, we have created the new online WellBeing Resource Center, which can be accessed by visiting the Law Society website, lso.ca/well-being. It brings together a variety of new and existing mental health and well-being resources under a single banner, making it easier for licensees to find the resources they're looking for. So whether your members are looking to connect with the Member Assistance Program, learn how to better support a colleague or client, or find reports on well-being in the legal professions, the Wellbeing Resource Center features something for everyone. If I leave behind one message on mental health, it's that we absolutely must care for ourselves so that in turn we can serve the people of Ontario. I'd now like to turn to the Law Society's commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion. And I know as well that FOLA is committed to this, and I note that last year your plenary was focused on this. Today we saw in 2021, we saw the tragic uncovering of hundreds of unmarked burial sites of children at former residential schools. The devastation caused by the residential school system continues to harm survivors, their families, and Indigenous communities across the country. These tragedies highlight the continuing need for the Law Society's work with the Indigenous Advisory Group on the implementation of the Indigenous Framework, the recommendations of the Review Panel on regulatory and hearing processes affecting Indigenous peoples, and the 94 calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The Law Society is also working with the Indigenous Bar Association and the Advocate Society on updating the guide for lawyers working with Indigenous peoples. The guide is intended to help licensees better understand the histories, cultures, and laws, including spiritual laws and legal orders of Indigenous peoples. It shares practical tools to help lawyers represent Indigenous clients as effectively as possible, and resources for lawyers to continue their education and improve their services to clients and others. We expect the updated guide to be released in the coming months. I'm also looking forward to visiting the North in June, where I hope to see some of you in Thunder Bay. We'll be there on June the 7th, and we'll be hosting a reception. I'll also be visiting with Chief Justice Morowitz and Chief Justice Strathy and other guests. At home and around the world, we continue to witness many groups subjected to hateful violence, discrimination, and racism. The Law Society and legal professionals alike have clear duties in pursuit of justice, combating racism and discrimination in all its forms, and making an active effort to make our institutions and justice system more diverse and inclusive is fundamental to maintaining a just system. We all have a role to play collectively and individually in combating systemic racism and discrimination and building a fair and just society for all. As treasurer, I remain steadfastly committed to reconciliation and to equality, diversity, and inclusion initiatives in the legal professions and at the Law Society. And the Law Society remains steadfastly committed as well. I want to share a brief update. I'm mindful of what your chair has said about staying on time, and I'm going to do that. A couple of quick things. The Great Library. So they're once again offering their online legislative research training sessions for summer law students, licensing candidates, licensees, paralegal students. So in these sessions, the Law Library can provide guidance and education around legislative research tasks, tracing a statute's amendment history, searching Hansard online, and effectively navigating government websites like e-laws and justice laws. And if you're working on a legislative research problem, they can also assist you with that. So for more to learn and sign up, visit the Great Library .blog, and you may also wish to share that with your members. So wrapping up within my time. Finally, before I wrap up, I just want to say that this summer, as I said earlier, marks the 225th year of the Law Society. We were founded in 1797, and its very creation as a self-governing body was an innovation in the English-speaking world, and it became the model for law societies and regulatory bodies across Canada. We were created to ensure that all persons who practice in Ontario were competent, followed proper procedures, and behaved ethically. More than 2 centuries later, these are still at the core of our public interest mandate. My term as treasurer comes to an end at the end of June, and I'm reminded that self-governance is no less a privilege today than it was 225 years ago. And to maintain that privilege of self-governance, the public interest must always be of paramount concern to the Law Society and to those we regulate. I encourage you to follow along on social media as we share stories, follow along on the Gazette as well, to look at the long and storied history of the Law Society and Osgoode Hall. I would just say that I think all of you should know, including your members, that there is a plan to put a subway station on the front lawn of Osgoode Hall. That's the Metrolinx development that your chair so kindly asked a question about yesterday at the annual general meeting. I think it's something that all of us should be aware about. Doug raised the issue yesterday about not only the impacts on the grounds of Osgoode Hall, but what does that mean for what's happening inside this historic building. So I don't know if FOLA is going to do any work on that. I know that the Toronto Lawyers Association has been involved and has sent a letter, but any support that you can provide to maintain the history and integrity of Osgoode Hall and the work within this hallowed building would be appreciated. So my term is coming to an end, and I want to just thank all of you for your work at FOLA and the work you do through your law associations. You are role models and advocates for a better justice system. The work you do on behalf of your members who are on the front lines of the justice system matters. You make a difference to clients and you make a difference to the fabric of our justice system. We have lots more to do. So my coming to the end of my term as treasurer doesn't mean we're all done. There's lots more to do, and we're better when we work together. So thanks so much. I'm really grateful for all the opportunities I've had to connect with Fola over my term, and I look forward because I think Doug and I are going to see each other hopefully next week when he's in Toronto, and I'll see you who are in Thunder Bay or in the north on June the 7th. Thank you very much.